Good morning, everyone. So today I am making cinnamon buns. So I am actually doubling my recipe. So if you want to use this recipe, I would just suggest you can use the same amount or you can half the amount. So what I've already gone ahead and done is I've melted my butter and milk on the stove. So I heat them up and then you let them cool down slightly so they're not as hot anymore. So it's 320 grams of milk and 230 grams of butter already in here, already melted and cooled down. So now to my bowl here, I'm going to add 200 grams of my starter. You can actually tell that my starter is starting to fall. Okay. We've got 200 grams of starter in there. Okay, and now we're going to add okay. Now we're going to add in 48 grams of sugar. There we go. And 2 large eggs. I recommend never cracking your eggs on the edge of your bowl. When you do that, you have a larger chance of getting the shells into your mixture. Okay, now we're going to combine these. As you can see, it is well combined. Now we're going to slowly add my milk and butter mixture. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a mix. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. Now the reason why you want to cool down your butter and milk mixture is because 1, you don't want to potentially cook the egg, and 2, if the butter and milk mixture is too hot, then you're going to get a sticky dough. You can always just add some additional flour to the dough to help cool it down, but why do that if you can just cool down the flour's not going to cool it down. It's just going to help to make it so it's not so sticky. But why do that if you can just put it in your fridge and let it cool down for a little while? Okay. Now to this, I'm going to add in 10 grams of flour, 10 grams of salt. Okay. There we go. And now we're also going to add in 720 grams of flour. And this is just all-purpose flour. There we go. Now we're going to mix it again, and we're going to start on slow again just to make sure we don't have the flour flying everywhere. I'm just using it on a bit of a faster spin for this little bit here, just to make sure that it's getting scraped off the walls. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now I just wash my hands, and now I'm just going to go in here with my hands and just mix this up a little bit more. I mostly just do that just so that I can incorporate the flour best. And then I go in here. And so your dough's still going to be somewhat sticky. It's not going to be too sticky. But you do want it a little bit sticky so that you can, that it will rest. Okay, so now we're going to let it rest. Okay, I'm just going to take some damp paper towel. If you prefer to use a damp dishcloth or tea towel, anything like that, you can. But I'm just going to take a damp towel just to make sure. So now we're going to let it sit here, and we're going to let it rest for 30 minutes. And then we're going to come back and we're going to knead the dough some more. Okay, so I will see you guys shortly. Okay guys, I'm back to knead my dough. Okay, so as you can see, it's been sitting for a little while. Now I'm going to knead it with my hands wet, just so that the dough does not stick to my hands as much. I'm going to bring a container over with some cold water to do that. And you're just kneading it for a little while just to help promote the rising. You can use a stand mixer for this as well. Mine's just packed away right now. We're in the process of looking at moving, so a bunch of my stuff has been put away. So now I'm going to let that rest for another half hour. Cover it again. And in half an hour I'll come back and I'll do some stretch and folds, and then I'm also going to switch it over to a different bowl to help with the rising. So I will see you again shortly. Okay, we're back. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a couple stretch and folds on this dough. Okay. And now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and put them into my buttered bowl. And now I'm going to wrap them up, put something over top of it, cover it up, and then I'm going to let it rest until it doubles in size. Once it doubles in size, then we will be back to continue on with the cinnamon buns. Does not want to cooperate today. There it goes. Welcome back, everybody. So now we're going to get the mix ready for, like the cinnamon mix ready for the middle. Okay, and so first we're going to start off with, because we're doing double batches, we're doing 2 tablespoons of flour. Okay. We're going to do 2 tablespoons or more of the cinnamon. Because we like cinnamon in this house, I'm going to measure with my heart, and I'm using a half a tablespoon, a teaspoon scoop here, so I did 4 more so keeping size tablespoons. Okay, and Now we're going to zero this off. Okay, and now we need 168 grams of butter. Might end up just using the whole thing here. Looks like it. And we did. Okay. And then we're going to do 200 grams of sugar. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to mix this together, and then when I come back, I'll start rolling out the dough before we have to let it sit for a little bit longer. I will be back shortly. Welcome back. So I've gone ahead and I have mixed up my cinnamon, butter, sugar, and flour. Now we're going to roll the dough out for a little bit, and we're going to let it rest again. But first what we're going to do is just going to lightly spray the counter. And we're going to lightly dust it with some flour. Okay. Now we're going to take this, plop it out, and we're going to put it into a rough rectangle. And this is just going to help the gluten. Okay, and now we're going to let it rest again for a little while, and I'll be back shortly to go over the next steps. Welcome back, guys. Okay, so I've gone ahead and let this rest for a little while. Now, I did sprinkle some flour on top of the dough here. Now we're just going to roll it out, and we don't want it too thin, but we also don't want it too thick. So we're going to roll it out till it's the thickness that you want. And then from there, we will go ahead and start adding the cinnamon butter onto it. Okay, I will be back shortly once I've rolled this out some more. Okay, so now I've gone ahead and rolled this out. So we're now going to take our cinnamon butter mixture, and we are going to spread it out on here. We're just going to take our rolling pin and spread it out a bit better. Forgot to spray my rolling pin down. There we go. Now the cinnamon butter won't stick to it as much. Never mind, it is. I had heard that trick works, so I wanted to try it, but it's not working as well as what this will work. And hey, you know what? Sometimes we learn, and sometimes when we're learning, something works out really, really well, and sometimes it does not. There we go. need to spread it out this way a bit more. Just trying to get it more closer to the edges, especially on the sides. The bottom you don't, and the top you don't need it as close to the edge, but you do want it on the sides a bit more. There we go. Okay, now we're going to roll, let's steal some of this more cinnamon. Why waste all this cinnamon here? There we go. Now we will roll these up. And you want to try and keep the roll as tight as possible. So while you're rolling, do a roll and pinch. Especially when you first start out. And as you can see, because I sprayed and floured my counter, my dough is not sticking to it. I'm just using the Kirkland canola cooking spray. Okay. Now I'm just going to cut this in about half here. I'm just going to give it a couple of rolls just to make sure that it is sticking. Okay. And I'm just cutting it into about 8. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting it into half and then half again. You want to try and keep them very similar in size. It's because you're eyeballing it. You can measure if you prefer, but I just eyeballed it. And as you can see, most of them are very, very similar in size. Now I'm just going to take one of my pans here. I'm going to spray it. And now we're going to add the cinnamon buns into the pan. And I'm leaving a bit of space in between each one, just so they do have room to expand. And I'm just doing the same with this one as the other one, just rolling it a couple of times just to make sure the edges are sealed. Okay, half, half, half. Okay. got that. Let's grab one more small pan. And we're going to spray this one as well. Okay, and we're going to let these expand as well. So now we're going to let these sit for, I think, actually, I will do this. Put 5 in here. And 7 in that one. Or 11 in that one. Okay, so now we're just going to let it rest for about 2 hours or so, 1 to 2 hours, and we'll come back when that's done resting. We will see you shortly. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half, and so now we are going to bake our cinnamon buns. As you can see, they have risen. Okay, so I'm going to now throw them into the oven here. So my oven was already preheated to 350 degrees. So I've put them in for 30 minutes right now because I want to check them at the 30-minute mark. But on average, they take about 35 to 40 minutes to cook. But I'll come back at about the 30-minute mark and we'll go from there. I will see you shortly. So as you can hear, my oven is going off. So they've been in there for 30 minutes and they're starting to get a little golden. So I'm just going to turn them off and turn the timer on for 5 minutes and see how that goes. Well, the last 5 minutes are happening. We're going to start making the cream cheese topping that we have for this. So I have 1 brick of cream cheese. From that, we are going to add in we're going to add in 84 grams of butter. And the butter is softened. Oh, that's close. There we go. Now we're going to add in about 200 grams of powdered sugar. I'm just going to cut a little hole in this so that some air gets in so that I can open the bag a bit better. Okay, 200 grams of powdered sugar. Now we're going to add in, just for the milk, the way that I like to do it is I just like to pour in a little bit at a time. That did not want to open. Just a little bit at a time, just so that when we're mixing it, we can decide on how thick we want this to be. Okay, so I don't do a set amount necessarily of milk. I'll just pour it in nice and slowly. But first I'm going to give it a little bit of a whip just to try and get these all mixed up a little bit. And make sure that you do start off on the slow, just because you don't want the powdered sugar flying everywhere. I just put a little bit of a faster spin on that to get some of the butter and cream cheese off of the mixer blades. Oops. Started a little bit too quickly by accident. There we go. See, as you can see, my cream cheese mixture is pretty thick. Just gonna scrape the sides down again. Oh, let's check on those now. No, we're gonna give them 5 more minutes. I'm just going to add in just a little bit of milk, maybe a couple of tablespoons or so. And again, we're going to just do this nice and slowly. And if you want to add some vanilla into it for flavoring as well, you can go ahead and do that. With my cream cheese icing, I prefer not to have the vanilla flavor. Okay. And as you can see, I have a nice thick consistency for my cream cheese icing. All right. We are going to let the cinnamon buns cool down first before we do put any cream cheese icing on them. And I love to do this. This is one of the best parts about having adult children. You don't need to give them all of the mixers anymore. look at those cinnamon buns again. Oh. As you can see, they're nice and golden. Okay, so we're gonna now let those cool down. Once those have cooled down, then I'm going to have a cinnamon bun. So I will see you guys later. Thank you, have a good night, and enjoy. Okay guys, so my cinnamon buns have cooled down. I'm going to throw some of my cream cheese topping on top of it, my cream cheese buttercream. Go. Didn't seem to get any cream cheese on this part. There we go. Really, really good. They're nice and soft, fluffy, and oh, so good. You gotta try this. Well, thank you, have a good night, and enjoy.